Hi, I'm Ken Howard, and welcome to the Gay Therapy LA podcast. Today, as Thanksgiving approaches, I'm pondering my thoughts, as I am prone to do, about how the holiday of Thanksgiving relates to gay men. What meaning does it have for us as a community that perhaps it doesn't really have for our straight brethren? There's overlap for sure, but for most Americans, Thanksgiving, especially those of us of Anglo-Saxon descent or families that go back to New England colonial times, but certainly others too, is a time when we collectively celebrate the spirit of gratitude. For some, it has a religious connotation, as it did with the early New England settlers, but gratitude can be a secular humanist value as well. People ask me sometimes, as a therapist, hey, what is the key to happiness? And I always say that to my observation and experience as a therapist now for over 27 years, that the way to make yourself feel better faster than anything is to simply practice gratitude. Some religious people do this, thanking God for their bounty, or people in Alcoholics Anonymous practice this idea, and New Age spirituality adherents do too. You hear sometimes of people having a practice of making a gratitude list as a daily journal at the end of each day, and that can lift your spirits. And by contrast, I think the most efficient way to make yourself miserable is to make comparisons to others. When you beat yourself up and you feel like you come up short in some way, money, prestige, appearance, social status, privilege, accomplishment, however we want to slice that. So it's funny that a very old American holiday like Thanksgiving has this very New Age spiritual connotation to it. For others, Thanksgiving is about family, the family of origin, and while this can be true for many gay men, especially today when large numbers of gay men bring home their boyfriend or partner or spouse to their family of origin, and the partners are accepted like one of the family, this is not always the case. Family of origin conflict caused by family members who are rejecting, hostile, just anti-gay, usually for some kind of warped religious reason, that's also in supply, kind of tragically. And in my practice, I hear quite a mix of guys whose partners are accepted by their families, and it's fine, they're really one of the family, and those who are not, where there's conflict. And I'm struck by the stark contrast, really, because it seems like it's one extreme or the other. So while for straight people, Thanksgiving very consistently means family of origin fellowship, for gay men, often it can be observed with friends who are really a family of choice, in the now classic Friendsgiving. I really try to de-emphasize the whole thing about the ritual of eating a turkey as the piece de resistance of the holiday. I know many people like the taste and the ritual, but since I really eschew the idea of factory farming and all that, and I feel good about that in my conscience, I know I'm maybe a minority on that, but I like to think of the ritual of the feast, sharing either high quantities or high quality of food, is symbolic of the ritual of group sharing. Throughout the world, observations of special occasions in a culture may be through what you eat, special holiday foods. Think of the term breaking bread is a ritual that bonds people together. And other holidays, maybe costumes or crafts or dances. It's actually something to do on the holiday. Certainly for many gay men, although certainly not all, it's not the incessant football on TV. But I know some gay men who are into that, and and with some of those players, who can blame them, right? But the ritual of feasting is the physical manifestation of the symbolic ritual of spending time together and bonding along a common humanity. That kind of goes back to, historically, the original Thanksgivings. There's probably a lot of myth mixed in with the history, and of course, the atrocities that come up around Columbus Day, or what's now starting to be more well known as Indigenous Peoples Day, kind of recognizes that the English settlers, by and large, oppressed the Native Americans in very bad ways. But a more benevolent story goes that the settlers and the Native Americans somehow came together in feast, and that it was a peaceful thing. And maybe with history it's a mixture of both. I actually don't know the history of some of that. I wish I did. But we like to think that it was about the settlers invading the land, but somehow the Native Americans sharing it with them. I think maybe there's, like I said, some of both in our history. But the idea is the idea of people coming together and sharing the bounty of the harvest. So I think that persists in Thanksgiving observation, that it's people together showing gratitude for a bounty. It can be about a harvest and just about food, but it could also be about people coming together and sharing gratitude in general, just as a value that we want to culturally celebrate as a group. So the group could be your family of origin, but sharing that with the tribe of gay men is also meaningful. And gay men have a lot to be thankful for lately. We've been delivered through the benevolence of fair law and justice from oppressive discrimination against marriage equality. We have marriage equality nationwide, at least for now, which I think we have to fight to protect. The bigots lost that war, and we're grateful that love is love and that equality prevailed. Medical technology, in just a handful of recent years, has given us PrEP, now not only in Truvada but also Descovy as well. And so we're grateful that HIV risk management has helped us to take better care of ourselves as a community medically, after so many years of feeling like HIV held the upper hand in suppressing our lives and well-being. We can be profoundly grateful that the same virus that killed so many of us only a number of years ago, and still does in some cases, is now largely contained in unprecedented ways. There was news this week in New York City that HIV transmissions at something like a 17-year low because of some of the advances in PrEP and treatment as prevention. So we can be grateful that while there are still so many oppressors still among us, all of the Republican leadership lately is virulently, publicly, and extremely anti-gay in everything from healthcare to civil rights to education. And we're seeing actually more of that, not less. And the internet and social media gives us unprecedentedly wide audience to the most extreme of the anti-gay movement, such as religious conservatives of all faiths, evangelicals, but other faiths as well, can be vehemently anti-gay, including Orthodox Jews. We also have an unprecedented number of average Americans who see the anti-gay pundits as immature and hateful and crass, just fools that have no place in mainstream American society. The majority of Americans now support marriage equality, and that wasn't so just a few Thanksgivings ago. So it is a heartwarming fact that feeds our sense of dignity and relief and indeed gratitude. Gay men might have very individual as opposed to community reasons for gratitude. Getting a new job, starting a new and exciting relationship, moving into a new home, having a new pet, even having a child, having enjoyable experience this year, such as vacations or outings or a work accomplishment maybe, can make us all feel grateful within ourselves as individuals. To stop and recognize our gratitude through various rituals at this time of year for these things can really solidify our gains and strengthen our sense of ourself, or as what shrinks call it, our self-efficacy, our agency. And that's when we prove to ourselves that our thoughts and feelings and beliefs and behaviors that we choose, consciously choose, making that effort to focus on more positive, more productive thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and behaviors, that can change our lives for the better. That's kind of the theory about cognitive behavioral therapy, is that we can control our thoughts, which then cascades into our feelings, beliefs, and behaviors. Reminding ourselves that we have agency, we have influence, We are self-empowered. We have the power to guide at least part of our lives, and we have the ability to respond to challenges, setbacks, and random unfortunate events with healthy adaptive coping responses. As Jack Canfield says in that book that I like so much, The Success Principles, How to Get From Where You Are to Where You Want to Be, he says we can't always control what happens to us, but the event plus our response equals the outcome. I really love that. Think about that. Event plus response equals outcome. It is our response to random events that influences the ultimate outcomes, for better or for worse. A bad response will make a bad event worse, and an adaptive, coping, more thoughtful response can make the best of a bad event. Let's think about this. What are you grateful for this Thanksgiving? Can you allow yourself to just sit in the quiet, mindful observation and let yourself acknowledge the things, the list of things that you're particularly grateful for? And then how can you express your gratitude? Do you propose a toast? Do you decorate? Do you cook? Do you gather others near you? Do you give to others in some way? Do you write something? Many would say that our gifts from the universe are gifts that it gives to us. How we respond to those gifts, how we use them, apply them, share them, make the most of them, is our gift back to the universe. It's an evergreen exchange of energies that fuels our lives for a lifetime and create our relationships and families, both of origin and of choice, and our culture throughout time. You know, when we're stressed, it's easy to take inventory of the stressors. You know, this is stressful, that's messed up, this is chaos. But if we can quiet our minds for a moment, mindfully, and instead refocus on what we see, hear, feel, that we can be grateful for, even if it's just a new day, to start facing challenges all over again with renewed energy, even this can help. We all have unique skills, talents, and aptitudes for things that can help us face many different kinds of environmental stressors. Some of these we face alone because we just rally our own resources, and some things need the help of a therapist like me or coach to facilitate their resolutions, or at least their acceptance. Sometimes it's both. Focusing on empowering actions can make the difference between despondency and depression and feeling confident. That sense of self-empowerment and that sense of agency and that idea of rallying our resources internally. You know, an internal resource can be determination or hope or gratitude. And an external type of resource would be having a therapist or coach or a partner or some kind of teacher or a doctor or a repair person. And I think even politicians can be an external resource because they represent us in government and kind of do our bidding in a sense by the way that we vote and the values that we're expressing to empower our government of, by, and for the people. This is why it's important for gay men and others in the LGBT community and the minority communities to be active in politics, because that's how our values and our well-being are expressed. Values like equality. Because you can be sure that people on the other side, you know, the darker side of humanity, selfishness, greed, even sadistic hate, that can get manifested in the political process too, and those values can be expressed by people who feel that way, voting for other people who feel that way, and then using the power of office to enact those values, such as oppression. So on Thanksgiving, again, taking an inventory of what you're grateful for, just simply, it can be anywhere. You can be driving in traffic and do a gratitude list, or you can do it when you wake up in the morning, or you can do it before you go to bed, or you could do it as a game at your Thanksgiving dinner table. So I just want to express gratitude for you, for the listeners of this show. I notice the numbers are growing, which is really an honor. I'm really hoping that you're getting something out of the couple dozen episodes that we've had so far. And of course, you're always welcome to offer or suggest topics for future episodes. And I'm grateful for that opportunity. I'm grateful to interact with you. I'm grateful for the opportunity to hopefully be a good resource for you, either through the podcast or through the website at gaytherapyla.com. And of course, through services. If you ever need my therapy or coaching services, please feel free to get in touch. 310-339-5778 is my phone number, or texting. Texting's a little faster, by the way. But 310-339-5778, or email ken@gaytherapyla.com. And that could be for sessions in my office in LA or remotely. We can work by phone or by webcam, like on FaceTime or Skype, to anywhere in the United States or even the world. I noticed the international statistics. This show is reaching countries I will probably never visit in this lifetime, and I find that really exciting. And so I say hello to all of my national but also international friends, and again, your feedback is welcome. So I'm wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving, whether you're in the United States or somewhere else that doesn't even maybe recognize Thanksgiving, but just the idea might be valuable. You don't have to be an American in November in order to express gratitude and get the value of what those feelings might mean for you. So, have a good one, and I'll see you next time on the Gay Therapy LA podcast.